Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Context. I am Shannon Williams. I'm super excited to have my co-founder, Darren Shepard, with me here today. And we've got a great episode with some speakers joining us from the Linux Foundation and from Heurist AI. So hopefully we'll have a good conversation. We'll dive into a lot of information about foundations and blockchain. But before we get started, just wanted to, highlight a couple of talks we've had in the last couple of weeks. It's been a really busy, last 10 days or so. If you missed any of these, we had a really awesome discussion last week with David Soryapara over at Anthropic on the latest release of the protocol, which came out last week. And we also had a very interesting talk on Tuesday with the co-founders of the GitHub MCP over at Microsoft and the team working on VS Code. So if you're not keeping up on things, there's lots of videos on the YouTube channel. You can find it at MCP Dev Summit or by grabbing that QR code. The next two sessions we have should be really interesting. Next week, we're going to be talking to a team who's focused on API gateways over at Trago, Pat White there, which is certainly an area we're seeing a lot of people rethink their product strategies, like API gateways becoming MCP gateways. We're also going to have another talk about OAuth, this time from the co-founder of a company called ScaleKit, and talking about sort of an approach they built for dropping in OAuth. And then in 2 weeks, we've got a really interesting talk, one from Stephen Hay, who's focusing on micro sandbox, which I know Darren is super excited about. And then we're going to talk a little bit about vibe coding with the Apollo GraphQL guys. So should be a lot of fun. If you're interested in presenting anything you're working on, an MCP, how your team is using MCP, or something you've built, a tool that might help people consume MCPs better, submit a talk. You can just scan that QR code and find our Google form and fill in all the information about your what you want to talk about, and we'll try to get you scheduled. We're scheduling out a couple months now, though, so there's lots of people interested in talking. With that, just a quick update on how we approach this. The context is really a quick discussion. We try to keep the talks to 20 minutes. Darren and I usually ask a few questions after each talks, and then we get we give a chance for anybody who's joining us remotely. If you've got questions, especially on YouTube, I think on Twitch, if you're following there, you can write in questions and we'll see them and we'll ask the speaker. So with that,
this is like, I'm just excited about this, like breaking news or whatever, because I'm watching on Twitter. Anthropic just released desktop extensions, which I'm super excited about because it's a way to actually package up your MCP servers into like basically a zip format and securely deploy them. Because like it's a problem right now of like, how do you package up these ones for desktop? It's different from remote server. So anyways, I just saw it land on Twitter. I'm just like super excited.
Literally, since we sat down here to start talking, does that mean that it's useful for, like, instead of running your MCPs in a container and you're deploying in a container, you now can sort of deploy it directly?
Well, this is because there's two primary use cases where it's like the SaaS world is moving all towards remote MCPs. There's a lot of interesting things there. But on the desktop world, like open code and Cloud Code or not Cloud Code, but like things where it's like you're doing stuff locally on your laptop, which could all be MCPs. You really need code running on your laptop. So right now, the majority of MCP users doing development things are running MCPs locally on their laptop. But so now they've just come up with a manifest and like format for how to package up static binaries, Python or Node.js applications into a zip archive with a manifest. So you can just click and it will download it and then securely run it, because that's a big problem. A lot of people are like, what the heck is this code that's just running on my laptop? So I'm really interested because I've been fooling around a lot in this area because it drives me nuts. So I'm just happy to see it. So anyways, just want to throw it out there. Check out desktop extensions. It's from
Maybe you can demo it for us at the end of the call if you get it working.
Yeah.
Your challenge for the next 40 minutes is to have the app, the desktop extensions working. All right. So with that, and with Darren's brain busy firing off in a new direction, I want to turn it over to our speaker. So we're going to have two talks today. Matt White is joining us from the Linux Foundation. He is the GM for AI there and the executive director of the PyTorch Foundation. He's going to talk about why governance and standards and organizations like the Linux Foundation are critical to the success and growth of AI. And I think given the announcement this week about A2A joining the Linux Foundation, it couldn't be a better time for this conversation. I know at the summit last month we had lots of discussion in the hallway track about foundations, about governance, about the future for MCP. So this is a session I've been looking forward to for some time. And then after Matt's talk, Frank He, who's the co-founder over at Heurist, is going to talk about building AI agent swarms for Web3 and going to demo some stuff that they're working on. So should be a couple of great presentations. And with that, let's get started. So Matt, the stage is all yours, my friend.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here today. So as Shannon mentioned, my name is Matt White. I'm the executive director at the PyTorch Foundation and GM of AI at the Linux Foundation. Today we'll explore the importance of standards in AI. So not a deeply technical talk, but we'll be really focused on the importance of standards and their development and how they play a crucial role in AI systems and agentic AI systems as we sort of transition to this phase of more autonomy and more decision making through AI agents. So I'd like to share with you briefly what we're doing at the Linux Foundation. The Linux Foundation is home to many foundational open technologies for AI. So we have a number of AI-focused foundations, and we're really the home to a lot of critical open source tools, including PyTorch, Jupyter, VLM, and the BAI agent framework. And there are a lot of others in our ecosystem. And so we view these tools as being very central to advancing open research in AI and development, as well as production workloads. And we're continuing to grow our ecosystem of high-value, trustworthy AI tools and ensuring that developers and organizations have access to the best resources available for really creating robust and ethical AI solutions. And ultimately, our goal is to foster collaboration across the AI community. So bringing together the brightest minds in academia, industry, and open source communities to solve some of the most challenging problems in this fast-moving space of AI. And so by supporting projects that focus on transparency, accountability, and fairness, we really aim to create an AI ecosystem that is not only powerful, but also aligned with societal norms and values and shared values. As the field of AI continues to evolve, the Linux Foundation is committed to supporting the development of open technologies that empower innovation, ensure security, and really promote ethical practices. And so when people hear about the Linux Foundation, they automatically assume open source, right? But we also are the home to over 200 community developed standards. These standards span a wide range of industries and technologies. So from cloud computing and security, as well as those within the AI domain. And we've developed this very collaborative set of open principles that define open source projects, right? And the Linux Foundation provides multiple vehicles for specification and standards development, and each is really designed to offer flexibility and speed, ensuring that innovators can move quickly while still creating strong communities around their standards initiatives. So one of the key frameworks within the Linux Foundation is the Joint Development Fund. This framework serves as a home for initiatives like the Alliance for OpenUSD and C2PA, the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. Think of the Joint Development Fund as a consortium in a box, right? It's providing the structure, resources, and legal framework to allow initiatives to collaborate and thrive without having to reinvent the wheel. And for projects that are looking to focus on rapid innovation and iteration, the Community Specifications Framework is another excellent option. This framework allows teams to develop specifications in the same space where they create their reference implementations and their documentation, as well as test suites and SDKs. It's a very familiar, you're using a very familiar open source workflow. And It provides the agility needed for fast-paced development. Like in AI right now, we are moving very fast, and having this ability to have a very familiar process and working as a community together in real time is very valuable. And the flexibility from this supports rapid pace of innovation, allows growth, allows innovations to happen in real time in the community, and get feedback and sort of iterate quickly in the open. So as Shannon mentioned, just 2 days ago at Open Source Summit North America, we announced that A2A has joined the Linux Foundation, with founding members including Google, AWS, Cisco, Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, and ServiceNow. I'm sure many of you know that A2A is an open protocol specification for communication and collaboration between distinct AI agents. Now there's more than 100 companies that support the A2A protocol, and adoption is continuing to grow. And it provides a common language for AI agents for discovering capabilities, securely exchanging information, and coordinating multi-agent tasks. So by hosting the A2A project under a neutral governance at the Linux Foundation, we really ensure that it remains vendor agnostic and driven by the community. This approach is intended to accelerate the adoption and evolution of the A2A protocol by providing a solid framework for open collaboration, effective intellectual property management, and really sustainable long-term stewardship.
Matt, before you jump past the A2A do you mind if I just ask a couple questions? I'm super excited about this announcement, and I'm curious, the process that went into this happening. I mean, was this something you guys had been talking about for a while? What was the process like taking a protocol / project developed by Google and bringing it over to the Linux Foundation? Is there something that it's landing in? Is it kind of becoming part of an existing project or group at the LF, or is it kind of sitting on its own, like the PyTorch Foundation? Like where did it go? What was the process to bring it in, and what does it mean for somebody like Google to kind of give ownership of A2A to the LF? Like what's the legal process? Like, help me understand this. I think it's important as we think about obviously governance in the future of MCP, but I think for a lot of us, it's not always clear what it means for the ownership of a protocol to be with one organization versus another. So could you just elaborate a little bit on it?
Sure. So the formation process is pretty straightforward. Like, a lot of companies have experience in this space, and they've transitioned projects, and other organizations don't have as much experience, right? And so what we do is we make the process very simple. We have this formation process. It really wraps this governance framework and all of the intellectual property aspects, so that folks can innovate in the open. Like everyone's on a level playing field. And I think that I can't speak for Google, but I can say that they see value in bringing a project like A2A to the Linux Foundation, so that it is in a vendor neutral space, and that the community can see that, hey, this is available and can be, there's going to be a sustainability in the project, right? Like that there's longevity, and that everyone has a fair seat at the table, really.
So what is Google, like from the perspective of someone like Google, what are they giving up when they transition? It's like the intellectual property no longer resides with them. Ownership, are they still driving the direction of the protocol? Does the protocol now have some kind of a new set of rules for how it, who can contribute to it, how it can be changed, how it has to be updated? Like what changes from how it was being run yesterday to how it's being run today?
So I would say very little changes. What we do have is we have the governance framework requires there be a technical steering committee. There's a charter wrapped around that, and it makes it very clear to the community. Like when you go and look at the governance markdown file, or look at contributions markdown file inside the repo, you can understand how the TSC is composed, right? And this technical steering committee is generally your core maintainers. And so for this, for A2A, it has come into the Linux Foundation as a project. It's a standalone project right now. It is not residing within a particular foundation. And so this, it allows the teams to move quickly and implement the governance framework and ensure that this remains open, right? And you asked a question around like intellectual property contributions, and so effectively, yeah, like the trademark and like domains and these sort of assets become, sit with the Linux Foundation as a neutral third party to ensure that there's equal access, or there's rules around usage of the trademark. And so we just want to make sure that this is very open and a level playing field for everybody involved.
Awesome. So the technical, like this technical steering committee is sort of a standard concept inside the LF. That like if you're a project that's now been contributed, you have a technical steering committee that exists as typically some of the founders. But is there some rules about how that technical steering committee can change, who can be part of it? Does it have to be reasonably open, like anyone can join the technical steering committee, or can it remain? Because I mean, that can create a lot of chaos and difficulty, if you can imagine. Like, now anyone that wants to be part of the technical steering committee can join and give opinions, but at the same time, if it's an LF project, you imagine there's a certain openness. So how do you guys thread that needle? Like, what's the way you approach something like 8A where you're like, I don't, there should be a merit-based approach, I would assume, but maybe just walk through that.
Yeah, it is certainly merit-based, right? So when a project starts off and at inception, it has its technical steering committee is generally composed of the founders, right? And they'll look to expand that technical steering committee to diversify in terms of like organizational representation, but the charter embodies what the process is, right? And so the maintainers markdown file and the governance markdown file will generally describe that process. Often it's like a 2/3 vote or something to that effect to bring in a new maintainer. There's sort of maybe like in some projects there could be a limitation on like how long you can be in that group. And so if anything, the Linux Foundation is very flexible, right? And at the end of the day, we want projects to be successful. We want them to get velocity. They want build community around them. And so we create like very flexible frameworks for folks to be able to accelerate their projects.
Awesome. Thank you for letting me interrupt you there for a minute. I'm very interested in this part.
Of course. All right. So we'll jump into a little bit of Standards 101. I want to start maybe with specifications. So like, what is a specification, right? So specifications act as the foundation for building any system. I mean, it's no different in the field of AI or in telecommunications or otherwise. They're really highly detailed documents that provide an exhaustive outline of how systems should function, interact, and meet specific performance criteria. And specifications are usually accompanied by reference implementations and additional documentation that supports that, along with SDKs that really ensure the clarity and ease of adoption for developers. So in the context of AI, specifications can cover a wide range of technical aspects, right? They can define communication protocols that AI agents use to interact with each other, or establish data formats for how information is shared, or create schemas that define how data should be structured for consistency and usability. Specifications can also include guidelines for how models should be trained, evaluated, and deployed to ensure that they meet established standards for performance, security, and potential ethical guidelines. But a specification for, let's say, an agent communication protocol might define the exact structure of the messages that are exchanged between AI agents, and then the actions that can be taken in response, and how decisions should be made around like the shared data and shared understanding of the protocol. And specifications help ensure that systems, even when they're created by different teams, organizations, can seamlessly interact with and collaborate in a very standardized way. And this work is really foundational for creating reliable, scalable, and interoperable AI systems that function well across different platforms and use cases. And specifications are really the first step in the standards development journey. So they provide the necessary technical detail before moving forward to more formalized standards. And so what are standards? Well, the Standards are the result of the collaborative efforts and formal agreements made by various stakeholders that turn specifications into globally recognized and enforceable documents. They provide clear universal guidelines that promote the uniform operation of systems across the world. So unlike specifications, which are subject to internal testing or validation or frequent changes, standards are designed to be widely applicable and adhered to and enshrined, right? And so they really ensure that products and services meet globally accepted levels of quality, interoperability, safety, and performance. And standards really play a critical role in enabling that interoperability and consistency in complex systems. So where communication and collaboration across platforms and industries are really vital. So some examples like HTTP and IEEE 802.11 are examples of really well-known standards that have been published by an SDO. So an SDO is a standards defining organization, and they really ratify a standard. It's really that SDO and the working group that may be within that SDO will help develop, maintain, and promote formal standards and ensure interoperability rather, and safety and consistency across technologies and across industries. Some well-known SDOs are the IEEE, ISO, IETF, and W3C. But in essence, really, standards provide the formal foundation upon which technology can be safely and efficiently deployed at a global scale. So why do we need standards in AI? So standards play a critical role in ensuring AI systems, regardless of their origin, can work together seamlessly. And I think this is extremely important in AI. We're moving fast, and interoperability is really essential. So when different AI agents or systems adhere to the same protocols, collaboration becomes extremely smooth, and the systems are far more effective across diverse platforms. This ensures that AI technologies can communicate and operate efficiently, even when they come from different vendors or different environments. As AI technology continues to expand into critical sectors like healthcare and transportation, safety becomes a top priority. Standards provide a foundation for safeguarding AI systems, preventing vulnerabilities, and ensuring that they behave predictably and securely. And in the space of agents, controllability being also highly important. Trust and accountability are also central to the success of AI. Without standards, there's no guarantee that agentic systems will be transparent or fair, or there's any chain of accountability for any actions taken. And so standards help to ensure that the systems operate ethically and responsibly, but also fostering trust with users and the broader society. In terms of innovation, standards prevent unnecessary duplication of efforts, right? They establish very clear common benchmarks, and standards create a clear path for innovation, enabling organizations to focus building solutions and spending less time reinventing the wheel. And lastly, standards ensure that AI technologies align with regulatory and ethical frameworks such as GDPR for privacy or other societal concerns. And by adhering to standards, AI systems can be designed to respect legal and ethical expectations and ultimately ensure that they operate within a trusted framework. So truly, standards provide the necessary structure and clarity for AI to be effective, safe, and beneficial across industries, and really foster a collaborative environment that drives innovation while ultimately mitigating risks. So sometimes standards are developed behind closed doors, by invite only, and then published for mass consumption. But developing standards in the open is essential. It fosters collaboration by inviting input from a wide range of stakeholders and puts a lot of eyes on a project. This really ensures that the resulting standards are comprehensive in addressing the needs of diverse groups and industries. And when different perspectives are taken into account, standards are more robust and applicable in real-world situations. Transparency is another key benefit of open standards development. So by making a process open to the public, it builds trust and allows for critical feedback through the development phase. This is especially important in areas like AI, where public confidence is essential. If the development process is transparent, stakeholders are more likely to trust the final outcomes and feel confident in their implementation. Open standards also enable global interoperability, which is critical as technology continues to evolve again, in this rapid space of AI. And systems, we've moved towards a systems process where we're thinking about more interconnectivity and innovation between modular components of a larger system. So by assuring and standards are developed openly, we really reduce fragmentation and we make it easier to scale solutions across different platforms and markets. And this broadens the potential impact of innovations and promotes widespread adoption across industries and geographies. And finally, open standards encourage innovation and competition, which ultimately benefits everybody. They provide a level playing field where all participants, whether large organizations or small contributors, can collaborate. This inclusivity ensures that technological progress is fair and that all voices are heard in the development process. And by working together as a unified community with shared goals, we help shape the future of AI technology in a way that is really equitable and sustainable for everyone. So the Linux Foundation's community specification, which I mentioned a little earlier, is really a great example of how open standards can be developed using an open source model, right? By hosting the specifications, reference implementations, documentations, test suites, and SDKs in the same Git-based repository, teams can leverage the same collaborative and version-controlled environment they already use for open source software today. This approach not only allows for fast iteration and development, but also ensures that all elements, specifications, implementations, and documentation are tightly aligned and they can evolve together. And by using the Git-based repo, teams can integrate feedback quickly and adapt to changes in real time. And the open governance model really ensures that all contributors have a voice, right? At the Linux Foundation provides a legal framework that provides the necessary protections, making it easier for projects to get started and scale and not have to be concerned about legal clarity. For teams already accustomed to open source projects, this framework is really a natural fit. It reduces the learning curve and accelerates the development of new specifications by using the same familiar processes that we're all accustomed to in open source development. And not only is it fast and flexible and really creates the inclusive environment, but we've already seen that this is played out in the industry, right? So a very similar approach has been instituted with MCP and certainly has helped contribute to its success. So how can the Linux Foundation help? We offer like a wide range of resources to support and ensure the success of open source and open standards projects. That's why we exist. One of the key ways to help is by being founder friendly, right? We guide founders through the entire process. For a lot of founders, this is very new to them, right? And so we want to help them navigate the complexities of open source and open standards processes. We also provide a vendor neutral space where companies can collaborate, ensuring stability and longevity for their projects by removing the risk of dominance by any single organization. This neutrality fosters trust and allows projects to grow organically without being constrained to corporate interests. The flexible governance models the Linux Foundation enables both open source and open standards initiatives to be managed in a way that fits the unique needs of each project. This flexibility ensures that the community can have a say in how decisions are made, while also providing the legal infrastructure to protect contributions. In addition, we provide marketing, events, and access to a global developer community. This really helps projects gain visibility and supports a wider audience. And really, this is critical for growing projects ecosystems and driving further adoption. And further, we offer expert legal and compliance support, ensuring that projects adhere to licensing requirements and intellectual property protections. And our ecosystem development efforts also create opportunities for collaboration between developers, organizations, and industry leaders. The Linux Foundation provides the necessary support, infrastructure, expertise in a way that ensures success and sustainability and long-term health of your projects. So whether you're looking for strategic guidance or technical advice or marketing outreach, we're really here to help you through every step of the way. And so if you'd like to learn more about standards at the Linux Foundation, or you have a great open source project that can benefit from neutral governance, please feel free to see more details at this link, or you can certainly reach out to me directly. And I'd like to thank you all for joining me today, and let's ensure that the future of AI remains open. Thank you.
Matt, thanks for going through all that. That was really interesting. I'm definitely want to, before we move on, I want to dive back into the A2A thing and talk about this space, because MCP is developing very rapidly. There has been really a wonderful community developing around it in on Discord, in GitHub, at the conference. But at the moment, it's obviously not part of a foundation. It's being run fully by Anthropic. Do you think the LF would be a great place for MCP? Do you think you can provide the type of environment that it can thrive in?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I think I stated a bit earlier, but we're highly flexible, and we understand that projects need to iterate quickly, right? And so the community spec process is really a great vehicle for allowing founders and maintainers to iterate quickly on their specs and build them out in the open, and accept diverse stakeholder input. And so we're here to ensure that everyone can build what they want to build, and not be encumbered by a lot of the I would say, like, peripheral activities, right? We put these frameworks in so that you can get up and running within hours, right? And so we would welcome MCP and welcome any projects that would like to have a conversation.
When A2A moved to Linux Foundation, is it like within another organization within Linux Foundation, or is it like just a top level project? How did that happen?
Yeah, we always bring projects in on their own, right? And so they have their own, like, legal entity structure around them that, and then they can find a home in a foundation, existing foundation, form a new foundation, or exist as a standalone project. And A2A currently is a standalone.
Okay.
Do you think there's an opportunity to bring together? I mean, we had a talk at the last summit about 8 to 10 to 15, I can't remember how many different standards that are kind of emerging around this area, around agent-to-agent communication and around MCP. A lot of them have a lot of overlap. A lot of them are competing standards. Do you feel like the LF could be a place where these standards kind of come together, and we can cut the number down? We can maybe even get to a single standard that covers most of this layer, that would be easier for us people trying to use the technology and trying to implement the technology. Is that something you think the LF could help orchestrate?
Oh, certainly. I mean, right now we're kind of in this storming phase, right, where everybody is sort of innovating. They're coming up with new ideas, the ways they want to do things, forking projects, and kind of adapting it for their uses. But we certainly, we're much stronger when we all come together, and we're kind of working towards common goals. And I don't know if in the end, like, we have a single unified stack, or if it's a suite of protocols. But it would be very good for the industry to be able to standardize around a certain set of protocols, and then bring the best of breed of different features from different protocol stacks into potentially one or a few different protocol stacks.
And there's a lot of overlap in these things. It's really hard to imagine. At the LF, you guys have done a pretty good job over the years of having projects that even compete, that offer sort of two different approaches to solve the same problem. So I don't think there's a reason that projects or protocols couldn't overlap, is there?
So projects, in the sense of like open source projects, we have there's options, right? You have a choice as a consumer. The same, like, standards are a little more complex, right? And you generally want systems that speak the same language, right? There's just extreme benefits in not focusing your efforts on trying to integrate into every single platform, or to have adapters into different protocol stacks. And so ultimately, obviously, with the internet, we have a very nice, like, TCP/IP UDP stack, and so I guess in the future, maybe we get to something like that as projects sort of converge. And some projects may not stand the test of time. Sort of, we'll kind of see where things evolve in the coming months and coming years.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was great. sounds like the LF would love to be the home for the MCP in the future if it ends up that way. So, and has a lot of capabilities that might make it a good fit. So thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on the 8A announcement. That's really great news.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, let's turn things over to Frank over at Heurist. Frank is going to be talking to us about how MCP meets blockchain, and I'm super excited for this discussion. So Frank, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm a co-founder of Heurist AI. So first, let's introduce myself. I'm a agent developer and a researchers. You can see that at Heurist AI, we aim to build the agent on chain at a scale. And I author the technical paper, which is the first one of Web3 agent framework, ELISA. So that's so I know the history of the agent development and how it integrated the Web3. That's why we want to fit in to solve some problem inside this Web3 industry with AI agents. Yeah, so there's some pinpoints that we need to solve. First one is in Web3, the AI agent use cases is very different and other agents. For example, for our experiences, we build a Mona, which is a social intelligence agent. One function is to smart photo analysis of X accounts or track a project mentioned by any like key opinion leaders on X. Yeah, sort of this. But for the tool that can be used this, it's kind of like a fragmented. Like I need to find this tool and its places, another tool and other places. So it's very hard, and the tool quality is not easy to guarantee. Also, for another agent, because we're in the blockchain and the crypto, there is a lot of like investors and the traders around doing some financial activities on chain. So we build a smart trade agent. So mostly it is for example, the use cases like identify the trading token in crypto or get a BTC funding rates across major exchanges. For that, there's not a bunch of APIs that need to fit into and need to test this one by one to see how it works. Yeah, and also for those like API key, they need to pay for in bundle. So there's some expensive, as much as $1,000 per month. So for an agent developer, it's hard to pay. And another thing or difficulty is for each agent developer, they have their framework for their two definitions. Even like when the MCP arrived, like to unify the whole like a standard for interfaces for agent to use the tool callings, but this still problem exists. For example, the fragmented MCP service Web3. There is compared to like the internet, they have for example, there's a lot of like MCP servers to put in to be created. For example, like Notion MCP or GitHub MCPs. But in Web3, there is not like a pretty standard like a consensus which tool is good and which tool should I use. Then it's difficult to guarantee the MCP server quality. There is some exists like MCP server exists, but it's hard to like to be curated to know if it's good or bad. And another thing is there is no Web3 hosted MCP as services solutions. So most MCP, as well as in another like MCP like Notion, there is you can if you have a computer, if you have those environments, you can install in. But for a lot of like, but it's not scalable. First of all, and second, it's there is no like a platform you can pick up. You like this tool, you like this tool. So it's hard for people to find out the places where they what MCP or what tool they need. And a unique benefits we use a blockchain is to for the creators to monetize. Like in the I remember even for 3 years ago, like NFT is a hype. So benefits why we need an NFT is creators. If an artist, they can like have their digital arts to be monetized. So I think that's a great progress for the industry. I like to think in this way. So we want to think how to for the MCP builders to be monetized. And I will explain how we tangle this like approaches to solve this kind of solutions. Yes, so that's why we're here. Because MCP, we first know the MCP when it come out, and at that time we build our agent. We use like Langchain, and we use our own customized agent framework. It's very headache because for the same tools for different agent framework, we need to build like different like the tool definitions for the adapt to their framework. So that's definitely a headache for us. When this MCP server come out, we say, wow, that's amazing. Because with one MCP server, we can plug into different agent framework. So we like it so much. So we think about how to do it. And in order to do it, because before we already have the different like a specified agent, for example, like for web search agent, for crypto market data agents, for blockchain data agents. We think about how to like orchestration those like a specified agents into one places and integrated by the MCP. So because we have 30 plus agent and the 60 plus tools so far, so if we can use one MCP server to plug in for those two, that would be amazing. Amazing for us, amazing for the end users and for the developers. Okay. So yes. So that's why we build the MCP portal. So I will demo later on, but for here, I will show the MCP portal that you can, after you plug in your API key, you can select your agents, and based on the agents, it automatically created the tools you need to use. Then you can plug into cloud. I think it's a time to demo for this part. Let me share my screen. Share my tab screen. Okay, nice, thanks. Yeah, so here is the platform. Not under the platform. Let me first. By the way, for the API key, you see we have on-chain payment. You can pay USDC or other tokens to buy our services. Let me add a new one. Okay, so in here, there is a lot of tool you can use. For example, there is 31 agents that we build and plug into a one MCP server. You can say the CoinGecko agent is to get the token information such as Bitcoin and the Ethereum, and the XR search is general search. And for information search, we have the social search, we have a Twitter profile, and to get a KOL mentioned, those kind of agent, you can select it. And if I think I can, when I select this agent, it will show here, we have 7. Then I create a server. Yeah, so here is an endpoint, like remotely hosted by us, like inside every like user have their own like a private container. They can use this for their needs. So it's very useful to use the server, can be plugging. And I will show, for example, for cursor, there is a integration. And under the integration, you will see, there's my old endpoint. So I add it here. And yeah, let me back in to see. Yeah, so for this server, you can see there is like an engine we add in, and there's a tool behind those agents just in one single MCP server endpoint. Let me try to know first. Like I showed, there we have like before I have an agent like analyze the token. So let me try here. Give me the training tokens. Yeah, as for other like any other like MCP server is starting to running, then it will be calling into our remote server services so that it can get the like trading token informations. And if I'm using a social intelligence agent, for example, say, give me the train topics around AI today. Yeah, then it will adapt to a search tool they use. So imagine this, like your agent right now with this tool can be a very powerful agent and using one's MCP because this benefits because if you are building with OpenAI Agent SDK for MCP servers, you just need one endpoint instead of probably, I don't know, even it's kind of doable with 10 MCP servers to like a config file for those like agent. Even for Google like ADK, and I'm not sure if it's achievable, but with one single endpoint MCP URL, it's definitely achievable. And you can build like a different use cases of agent based on the tool needs, based on the prompt. So I think this is like amazing and easy to use. Okay, so let me back to my slides.
Frank, before you go on, there
Yeah.
was a couple questions that came in, and Carlos was asking them. He noticed that the MCP was using SSE for transfer.
SSE.
Are you planning to support streamable HTTP as it comes in?
Yeah, that's under the roadmap. But it's needed some refactor of our backend and how we define the agent. But we definitely support this HTTP streamable.
Any time frame on that?
I think it will be like a within like 2 months. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. And so, and he was also asking about whether the MCP exposed one tool per agent selected. So it was like a 1-to-1 mapping, or are you using like?
So for each like show in this slides, for example, for first one, CoinGecko agent, it exposed like the 4 or 5 tool behind this. Yeah, because probably for this agent, for the tool is to retrieve the trending tokens. Another one is to get a specified detailed information about token, for example, like Bitcoin, and yeah, those kind of use cases. So they use different tool to handle.
Okay, great. Well, go ahead. I know we've just got a couple more minutes, so I'll give you if you want to go through your last few slides.
Okay. Yeah. I focus on my slides. So the next step is to we are explore the area for agent financial like middleware. Why are we doing this? Because right now for those kind of agent MCP, they're just like to retrieve the data and to provide here. It's kind of executed based on the needs of the user. For example, like for payments or even for pay the credit or API key for Heurist for services. So now we are exploring the area like using the because recently Coinbase published a technical report like general engineering the commerce payment protocol, like work with Shopify. We get an idea. We say how we can do this, implement it in the way like according to this protocol. Then we think about use EIP 7702 type accounts. Like a plugin into MCP, they can streamline the payment. So the one core idea is the user don't need to approve for each payment every time. So the user can authorize the this agent under this EIP to handle the, for example, like a recurring payment that can do daily transactions. So that will be a next thing that we want to target, because there will be a next level of agentic to agentic. Because right now, agent to agentic and the more focused on communications, but either for like monetizations and to transactions agent by agent, it's still a lot of way to go. So we want to implement it based on this idea to see how far we can go. Yes. So by the way, for interesting, if you are like agent, like a builder, definitely check out our MCP, the Heurist AI. We have a free credits. And if you want to contribute to our mesh agents, it's open sources under another Heurist agent framework. And the example, like we use Google ADK and Open AI SDK, is definitely check out the examples GitHub repo. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. That was great. I appreciate you coming on and walking through this. All right. That was awesome, Darren. We had some great talks today. I know you're excited, though. You really want to show a little bit about this new announcement from Anthropic. Do you want to maybe set the stage a little bit?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just cleaning up something real quick because I sort of got it. Like, so, okay. So, you know, in the MCP world, there's so many different use cases of how MCP can be used. There's, you know, there's running MCPs locally on your desktop. There's remote ones. There's MCPs plugging into agents. So there's all these different use cases. And so there's a lot of things exciting going on in the remote world. But in the desktop world of like things running locally on your desktop, this is for things like if you're running Claude Desktop or Cursor or VS Code, they typically download, a lot of times they download or run code locally. And so right now, the way that's done is just people do like UVX or NPX, and it just kind of basically works for developers, but it's not so great for, you know, I guess like more of like a business user or a less tech savvy person. So it's really exciting.
Like me, you're saying for me.
Exactly, for you.
I need to know about this because it's designed for me. I love it.
Just specifically designed for you. But the thing that I'm excited about is it's an artifact and it's a specification on the back end that then developers can then leverage. And this can be extended to a lot of different things. So these were like different use cases we can use this, and it's gonna, I think this will make sense for, you know, not just to make you happy, where it's like, oh yeah, okay. So let me show you, let me share my screen. So it's funny because I can't find, like, I just saw this on Twitter and I can't find a, let's see, share screen. Let's go with the entire screen. Hopefully I don't share. Did that work? Oh no. Oh, I have to click the button. Okay. Okay. So here, Shane, you wanted, okay, so yeah. Okay, so I just found this on Twitter. Like, I can't find like an actual blog or anything about it, so I'm not very good. Like, but so this is like basically what was like announced is this video here, super short, like 30 seconds. I'll actually show you this live what it's doing. So that's kind of like the very quick teaser thing. But then on Twitter, they then link to two things. One is the actual specification under the hood of how developers can do this. And then also there's a Google form where you can submit, like, you have your desktop extension that you're building and you want people to be able to use this or whatever. So I think this is, because there's some things, I don't know how they're going to go about. There's things around like signing and stuff like that, which are going to be interesting. But let me like actually demo this for you, like live, so you can see what this looks like. So this is Claude Desktop. So if you go in here and you go to, so I just downloaded the very latest one. You go into settings. Like, this is just super cool. I love this. So if you go into extensions now, because like before for MCP, any developer is going to kind of know this, is you can do the edit config, which gives you this JSON file here, and then you got to type all this crap. It's really a crummy experience because like you edit this and I think you have to restart or something like that. I don't know. Really, I don't use this very much. But so there's this extensions here where they have these like pre-canned ones already. So I think you can basically, this is what they're probably that Google form is, so you can get added to this list.
This is brand new. So this is what they just added. Is this new extensions thing, or is this
I think so, because I don't know that I'm not super familiar with Claude Desktop, the app. I don't use it a lot. Like I use more of the CLI tools, like Code. So I think this is new because this seems to be 100% MCP. Like I don't see anything. So this is really cool. So like I'll show you. This is just kind of a dumb example of the file system. So you can go and install this, and you'll see it's downloading some stuff. So it's going to like download this extension. Give it a second. And then this is really interesting because then it has configuration, and I'll go over the specification, how this works, whatever, because this is like a big problem with installing MCP servers. Is a lot of times you need a little bit of configuration, or you need an API key or something like that. Just some information like locally to make it work. So here I can just, with this one saying, I can like, okay, I'm just going to add like my downloads folder. Okay. So select this folder, save this. So now this thing's configured, so I can enable it. So now it's enabled. So if I close this, oops, that was weird. If I close this, so now I'm back into here. If I go to here in the tools, you'll now see file system. And these are all the tools that it's enabled. So now I can just say like, can you list the files in my download folder?
And it looked like this allowed arbitrary, what were they, DXT files? So so not only do I have to get stuff that's on their list, but if someone publishes a DXT and I trust it, I could just drag it over and it would immediately install basically a local MCP into Claude Desktop, or does this theoretically work with other?
Well, I mean, so
would it work with
Anthropic just announced it. Like, I mean, I think they literally just announced it in the last hour. But it's this open specification, so I don't see why people wouldn't adopt it. Like I already, like while we were going through, I started reading through the whole specification, and I've fooled with this stuff a lot. Like I've actually tried to come up with metadata formats like this. This is actually really well thought out. This is covering a lot of really good use cases. So let me show you. So like that's like if you wanted to use one of the pre-canned ones, but if you want to create your own and share it, I can show you how to do this. Unfortunately, the very end, this is not going to work. I don't know why. I've literally, like, I started doing this right as we started this live stream. So what I've done here is, let me delete this, is I created this little project here with this little MCP server. So all this is just going to do is just echo one tool. Like it just exposes one tool that says hello, right? So now I have my MCP server. Like before, what I would have to do is effectively publish this to some Python, PyPy, is that what it's called? Shoot, I actually don't know. Some Python registry. So then I could later say like UVX run whatever. I always hated that step. It's like, I don't want to publish it there because I just want to give you my MCP server. So I wanted some way to just package this up. And so that's what this thing does. So if you go here to this DXX, you just need to install their CLI. So I already ran this. So I got the DXT command line. So if you just say DXT init, it's going to walk you through helping you create this manifest. There's a lot of questions, but these are all kind of important things. So version, it says hello. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Long description, email. So there's a lot of metadata that you can put in here. So you can give a kind of rich experience to when someone's going to install. I'm not going to put any of this stuff in. So here it's like, you have to say, do you want Node.js, Python, what the entry point is, and then you can put more metadata in here on like what are the tools you want to tell the user about and stuff. Because this actually solves a pretty interesting problem that we ran into. Like what I've ran into as I've tried to do some of this stuff is like a lot of the information that the MCP exposes is dynamic, which is really hard. Like how do you get dynamic information? Like you would have to download and run the server first to get that. So they provided a metadata format to put some static information in there, which is super useful. So here, like, I can just say like, oh, it has this tool and this tool does stuff. I'm not going to do that, but see where it says, like, it says generate additional tools at runtime. A lot of things do. Here, I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to go through all the rest of them. There's a lot of different things you can put in here. So the specification is pretty extensive. So once you've created, so all that's doing is really just helping you create this JSON file, which you can go back and you can look at this manifest here, and it's going to tell you the full capabilities of it. Like, let me just point out one really important part, which is this user config portion. That's the thing that's really tricky, that I'm glad they addressed, is you can do API keys, and they have a sensitive parameter in there, so you can know that the platform the host will securely store that information. And then other things, like there's some, they clearly put some thought into around common directories and whatnot, because they have like, where is it? I saw this. These are like common directories that you might need. So it's like they really put a lot of thought into this. This is well done. I like this. Oh, and also just throw it there. It's like, I don't know if I cover this. It's highly optimized for Python and Node.js, because that is largely the community that's developing these things. But then it will cater to binary, and binary is going to cover basically the Go, Rust, .NET, those ecosystems, which can just ship a static binary very easily. So this basically covers everything you need. It's just Python, and these guys are special because like they actually have like runtime dependencies in here, which is super nice, which I assume that means they might be packaging Python runtimes and things, because otherwise, you know, how would like a business user have Python on their desktop? I don't know. Okay, so once you do this, you can say dxt pack, and now it's going to create my DXT file. I ran into a really funny problem.
Darren, sorry, when you go before you do this, so like during that config development piece that you just went through there for a second, is that where you would have set up sort of something specific, like pick the directories that you demoed a minute ago, or is that done somewhere else, like where you something you know like interactive between the extension and the user that's sort of specific?
Well, this is what,
like, is that all done in that config area where you say like,
this is the metadata. So this is the metadata that you can put in here, so that the
I got that, but I was trying to understand the interactive part, the part that I got that all the metadata was there. What I'm saying is, like, when you went to go start the desktop one, it asked you which directories you wanted to expose. Is that also part of that wouldn't be at the metadata level, right? That would be somewhere else. Where does that exist?
Right, but there's two aspects to it. Is like you need metadata to tell the UI to ask the user.
Okay, so that metadata is specifically asking the user some information that the MCP server needs, effectively.
Yeah. I mean, we can give a shot at this. Well, I think this whole thing doesn't really, well, no, because I know the end result's not going to actually work. I'll show you where it fails. But like, so this is where you would put this in there. And so like this, when I done this one here, where it's like, okay, you want to configure. In here, they added a section saying like, okay, allowed directories, and this is a list of paths. And they probably have like something for like path, because somehow they knew, I don't know, somehow they knew to put this little folder thing here. So they know. So there's meta. So I mean, again, like there's a super, like I still got to dig into this more, but it's really cool. So once you create this DXT, so now this is the thing, like you just need, this is now your extension. This is like, you can think of this as like for an iPhone app or something like that. You can create like an app and sideload it into something. So that's kind of like this. This is my app bundle that you could download and just give it to someone and they could use. So if I go into here and go back to here, you can see it says drag a DXT file to the window to install it. So this DXT file that I just created, which is in this directory here. Sorry, it's just so tiny. But so I created this hello, boom, you can put it in there. So I don't know what I did wrong. It's like, because this is not actually going to work here. So there's something not happy with the manifest or whatever.
Is it the lack of signature? Is it?
I don't know. I mean, so I was trying to look at the logs and try to figure out why it's not only installed, because I don't think this is stopping me. But anyway, so there's something wrong here. But you can see the whole flow. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Also, one thing that's really cool, I don't know if y'all realize, so like I'm on a Windows laptop. This is weird. Like I'm on a Windows laptop, but I'm actually a very diehard Linux user. I like do everything in WSL. So this is actually, this plugin here, this environment is actually a Linux environment. So like I kind of developed this. It's weird because this is WSL and it doesn't make sense. But so I'm actually developing this, like this IDE is actually running in Linux. So it's like I'm developing this in Linux, but then I can package this up and then basically ship it over to Windows, and it works. Like, well, theoretically, it didn't actually.
Theoretically, it doesn't work, but it theoretically should work, is what we're.
Yeah.
This is amazing though. So you're saying, like, in my world, there's no reason I couldn't get an Illustrator MCP that would work with my local desktop in the, as soon as Adobe pumps one out, or a Photoshop one, or something for Apple Music, or something that I could really work, instead of with a cloud service, work with something that's an app running on my local machine. Or
so this is like this one here, this iMessage one is a perfect example where it's like iMessage is not an open platform, but on your laptop, if you're running iMessage, you can do AppleScript on your laptop and do anything you want with iMessage. So this will only work by running on your desktop, by running some code locally. So they also say in this announcement that supposedly this is like secure. I don't know what they're doing in terms of, like, ideally they'd be doing some desktop sandboxing technology. I have no idea if they're really doing that or what. I assume this is an Electron app, and Electron does have some sandboxing cool stuff. So like maybe it's, I don't know. Like I really got to dig into how it's working under the hood.
Do you expect people to build a lot of these using AppleScript? Like, again,
no. Well, no, but this is the point. Like, but it just shows the flexibility of it. It's like, no, like.
What I'm saying, like, is that how, if I want to work with my Docker desktop app, you would, if you're not the developer of Docker desktop, but you want to enable some type of automation on Docker desktop, would you build an AppleScript way around that to sort of hack up, integration with any app you want? Is that sort of what they've done here? Because they haven't worked with Apple specifically on these to create an Apple.
It's just like you just use whatever you're going to use, right? Like, so I mean, it's like it just happens to be these are both Apple programs, and Apple does not have like open web API, like
but they're using it for Chrome too. That's what I'm saying. Like the Chrome example.
This one is a little funky. Where like I don't know why they used AppleScript for Chrome.
Can you try it? Like install it. Let me see what you could do with Chrome.
Okay.
You must have Chrome on your machine, right?
Oh wait, but it doesn't work. It says some requirements are missing. Oh, this must be what it is. Oh, okay. This is why. Okay, hold on. So this is probably why my extension didn't work, is because there's requirements. So like this only works on Mac OS. So
yes,
I most likely,
obviously that makes sense since you're on a Windows machine. But yours shouldn't have that requirement. What happened with yours when you tried to install your Hello World?
Well, yeah. So I bet you it's because I didn't put Windows as like a supported platform, because who would? Let's see. How do I don't know. Do you runtimes? Platforms. Okay, let's try this. Compatibility platforms.
It says Win32 on there.
Well, I know. I'm looking at the specification, not my actual file.
Oh, sorry. Helpful as always.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So let's. I wonder. Maybe they're init. Okay, so. Compatibility, Cloud Desktop, platforms, Python. Okay, yeah, because I really wonder if you have to. Okay, so maybe this is what it was. Okay, so now I have to say DXT pack. So that's going to pack it again. Let's see. Let's go back here. Extensions. Yeah, because I'm super curious about I really wonder, because there's the AppleScript. They might be working around some other, because like most people control Chrome through like Playwright and stuff. but that typically you have to run the Chrome in a special mode and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't integrate well into your own desktop. So they're probably working around some of those things. Anyways, okay, let's try this again. Oh, I don't have these Pythons. Some requirement. Okay, hold on. Let me see what this one was done with. Configure. What were the requirements for this one? Requirements. Oh, this is a node. Oh, okay. This makes sense now. They probably do not package the runtimes.
Carlos thinks if you don't specify platform, it should work on all OSs. I kind of agree with him.
Well, I don't know. Like the problem is like, okay, yep, bring it up with the specification people. That's not right. But I would
Anthropic. There's your first feedback. Your first.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I tried to I reached out because I'm like, who wrote this? Because it's like I actually already tried to reach out to this guy Felix because I'm like, hey, this is like so well done. I'm super happy with this. But yeah, so now I think I'm guessing because before I was saying like, oh, maybe they actually package Python and stuff, but I don't think they do. So because they're saying here I can't install it because I don't have Python. Okay. Which very well might be true because I don't use Windows. Oh, I do have Python 11.
It should work. It says 3.8, right?
Yeah, but why is it not? Some requirements are missing. Okay, well let me just try this because I probably shouldn't have put that.
I would say just remove it from the requirement.
Yeah. Let's see if this makes it happy. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Grab this new one. Drag it over. Oh, but I need Python. It's not finding Python for some reason. But I swear I have Python installed. I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to use Windows. This is
well.
Anyways, but you can see I'm sure once I figured out this dumb crap, then I'll get there or whatever.
It was really great. You said Felix something. What was the guy's name? Felix.
Yeah, it's I wonder if we can get him on here.
Felix, come join us. We'll do a special version on this new thing because it looks really good.
Yeah. So
I'm ready
this was
for an Illustrator one.
I don't know if he's. I think because I found him on Twitter and he. Let me see. I searched for him on
Felix Reisenberg.
Reisenberg. Yeah, so I found him here, and this seems to be him because he also just tweeted about it. So I think he might be the main developer behind it. I don't know if you're out there.
Let's tag you, Felix, and we're super excited with what you've built. It looks awesome and promising, and it's an open standard, so it fits in well with our chat from the LF.
Yeah, and I really love. I just love. I don't know. I love standards that come. See, okay, this is probably why it's so well done. Is it's spiritually similar to Chrome extensions and VS. So they probably took a lot of inspiration because it's very similar to the MCP. Kind of started from LSP, which is language server protocol or whatever, where it's they probably just followed good, some already good, smart people who thought about this.
That's give them credit for that.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap up, man. We've been going for more than an hour. We're going to be back to our old rancher days where we talked for 3 hours about it.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is awesome, dude. Thanks for whipping this up quickly and showing it off. Let's see if we can get somebody to come on and share it with us in more detail. Thanks again to our speakers, Matt and Frank, and thanks everyone who's been hanging around, joining us and chatting. It was great today, Darren. We're not here. I'm off next week. I'm taking a vacation, so we will be. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. All right. Have a wonderful Thursday, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.